Good evening, everybody. Good evening, man. I just thankful and grateful for another opportunity to be on the Conversation 98, another episode. We're keeping this thing going, and I'm just excited again just to keep doing this. And we're on episode 98. Episode 98. 98. That means, we've been going pretty strong for a while. So I'm just thankful and grateful for the continued support and just appreciative of everybody just tuning in staying with me and rocking with your boy. So I just thank you all. Again, man, thank y'all so much for being a part of this show, being a part of what we have going on here. And I'm more than grateful to what we have. So we just gonna get right into it today, man. And make sure you let me know where you're tuning in from. Feel free to comment. This is very interactive. We coming up real closely on episode 100, so I'm excited about that. Got big things planned, and once again, I can't express my gratitude more than what it already is, and I'm very, very appreciative. Uh, Very appreciative. But we're gonna get right into it today, man. Get right into the conversation. Get right into the topic tonight. First, man, I just want to send a shout out to. I just want to dedicate this show to all the fathers out there. Big shout out to all the fathers out there, man. Appreciate what you're doing. And I'm talking about the fathers that dedicated to doing, being committed to their kids, protecting and providing for their kids. I know that a lot of times the work that fathers do, and I'm talking about real fathers, I'm not talking about deadbeats, those that's not there, but the work that real fathers do, a lot of time goes not celebrated. And not saying that you're doing it for the celebration, but I do want to say you are appreciated for what you do. Again, man, thank. This is a shout out to all of the fathers out there, and want to let you know that you are appreciated and you are valued. But again, man, we're going to jump right into it. The conversation tonight, because tonight conversation is a real good one. It's one that I feel that is necessary. This conversation tonight is a real good conversation because this conversation is talking about the uncomfortableness, or I would say the agitations and all of the non-fun things that we have to go through to achieve our goals or to grow. And that really boils down to talking about the benefits of developing a mindset of embracing the discomfort of change. And I say that again, talking about the benefits of developing a mindset to embrace the discomforts of change. And one of the biggest benefits that I wanted to talk about is, first of all, change is inevitable. Change is inevitable. That's something that you can fight it all you want to, but change has to happen. Now, you can either embrace it or you're in a place where you're always fighting it. And stand in a place where you're always fighting it will a lot of times lead you at a spot where you're at a disadvantage, or you're you're operating as a deficit, because most of the time what we do is we fight against change because change pushes us out of what we naturally want to do, and we naturally want to be comfortable. But being comfortable does not always equate or correlates to the growth in which you need to do to reach the level in which you are destined to reach. And that's the God honest truth. One of the things that I think about is I look back over my life and I think about all of the teachers, the coaches, the people that have been in my life that have made things uncomfortable for me were people that I had an issue with. I may have an issue with at that time. I may at a point not even like them because they were, in a sense, pushing me, pulling something out of me, and pushing me to a place of discomfort, of out of my comfort zone. They was doing that because they saw something greater in me, and they knew that I could do it. And they set certain conditions that at the time I didn't like, and I may have an issue. But as I look back on it, I'm very appreciative of them people. And as a matter of fact, most of them people I hold in very high regard in my life right now, because they made it uncomfortable for me, but I had to change my mind, embrace what they were doing. I had to change my mindset. And one of the hardest things about changing your mindset is getting over the fact that the natural fact that like being comfortable. We like being comfortable. I don't care what you say. We like being comfortable, period. I don't care we like being comfortable. And it takes a deliberate effort. It takes a concerted effort of conditioning yourself to embrace the discomfort of change. And it takes a concerted effort. It takes discipline. It takes telling yourself or developing a mindset to say, you know what, I may not want to do this right now, but I know by me doing this, I'm going to enjoy the benefits of me doing it more than I don't want to do it. So I'm going to commit myself to doing it. And by doing that, you will begin to start to see your approach to change to be different. You'll see your approach to change to be different. And a lot of that seeing your approach to change be different, really, you can start to see that your lifestyle or the quality of life that you have will become different. And your anxiety will go down, your depression and all of those things that are geared to having dealing with the uncertainty or the unknowns of change. And that's what really a lot of it boils down to, is that the reason why I say it is the reason why so many of us are against change is because there's an uncertainty that is tied to change, that because we like being comfortable and having a sense or feeling as if we're in control, it caused anxiety in us, and that change, the potential for change, caused an anxiety in us for that we be like, you know what, I'm going to resist that because I don't know what that new one is, and by me not knowing what that new one is, what the unknown of what is new, what I'm going to do is then now I'm going to try to protect myself from that, because if I expose myself to that potential change, then I may not be in control. But what happens is this, right? Once you start to develop a mindset of embracing that discomfort of it, what you'll start to see is you'll start to look at it as the benefits of it. You'll start to embrace the benefits of it. And the thing that gets me is when we talk about in the Bible, they say, count it all joy when you face various trials. And as I think about that, it makes me think about developing the mindset to embrace the discomfort of change, because it is more beneficial. The benefit of that discomfort is greatly going to outweigh the temporary feeling of discomfort in that moment. So, and that's why the Bible also said the sufferings of this present time shall not compare to the glory that shall be revealed. And if we never embrace or have the mindset to embrace that suffering or the discomfort in that moment, in that change, we will never find ourselves consistently enjoying the glory that will be revealed in the latter. We won't do that. And we just won't do that. And we have to develop that mindset. And we got to get to that space to where, you know what, I'm going to condition myself. I'm gonna get to some comments. Hey, Miss Paige Banks, how you doing? Thank you again so much for tuning in. Got a lot of love for you. Thank you. What's going on, Miss Roberta? She said, good evening. Yes, change is uncomfortable, and determination to get through it is what causes growth. Now, this is the thing about it, right? Nobody, and I say it again, if we're talking about we're going to change something, right? Changes, and I deal with an organization. I can tell you, and I talk about this, I use this in the Army. The Army, since I've been in years of serving, it's a constant change, right? And what happens with this is a lot of change is frowned upon, because that what is being changed has become traditional. And because it becomes traditional, what ends up happening is we have become accustomed to it, and it's become familiar. So because I've become from operate within that tradition, even though that tradition may not be the most efficient, but because I'm comfortable with it, then I stake my claim to it, I stick to it, and that's what I go with, right? But when you start talking about things and that is going to bring forth something different or bring forth a better result, many times we fight against that, and I see it firsthand in the Army. When the Army changed from we went from the old school PT style to the physical readiness training style, and we changed how we did warm-ups and everything. I'm telling you, it was a struggle because that's what I was used to. I didn't want to change, and it took years, and the Army even planned years for the transformation. And the reason why they plan years because they understand that a lot of time with change, it takes time. But I would tell you, those who have the mindset to embrace it, they end up doing fair and not better than those who sit there and fight against it. Because watch this, change is inevitable. It is inevitable. It is. Like right now, right? Right now. And I use this, and this is the thing, and thank you, God. Thank you for this, right? Many times in our lives, we can refuse to change for our own better and still live our full life, but find ourselves living the rest of our life in the wilderness, in that mindset of the wilderness, like the children of Israel, all simply because we refuse to change our mindset. And because we serve a gracious God, he would not kill us off, but he will allow us to die off in that mindset and let a new generation come in to be able to fulfill the promise that God has promised to us. All because we refuse to change mindset. We refuse to embrace the discomfort, the mindset of embracing the discomfort of change. Because guess what? The change that he was doing was breaking the chains of slavery. And he was trying to get them to break that mindset so that they can receive the promise. But guess what? They didn't want to change. They saw the miracles. They saw what God did. They saw the wonders of the works of God. They saw God part the Red Sea. They saw God get fed their rain manna down from the sky and had quails come where they can have food and substance. They saw God didn't let their clothes wear out. In 40 years in the wilderness, that's only supposed to took 11 days to get to. And so many of us find ourselves on an 11-day path that is of our life simply because we don't want to change our mindset. We don't want to embrace that discomfort. We don't want to because we feel as I need to know everything before, or I need to have everything figured out, or everything needs to be up to where I want it to be before I embrace it. And what happens with that is we find ourselves operating at a space of mediocrity because, watch this, because when we find ourselves operating in that space of mediocrity, we find ourselves there because we lean to our own understanding. We lean to our own understanding. We do that. And by us leaning to our own understanding, what we end up finding ourselves is we find ourselves in a space to where we are only as good as we see ourselves. And watch this. Most it takes others to see the full potential you have in yourself or to set the conditions to bring it out of you. Because if we had a choice to choose to go through those things, that's going to bring the best version of us out of it, but it's going to cause some discomfort. Most of the time, we would choose not to go through it. We would choose not to go through it. My mom said, but change is necessary. Yes, it is. And she also said, we will have a slavery mindset, still have a slavery mindset even today. And yes, that slavery mindset is not so much what we're talking about being in slavery. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the slavery of I don't want to improve. So what we start to do is we start to make excuses of why we don't change, because we will begin to paint change, the potential of change, as an enemy. But the enemy is really us and our mindset to not embrace the change in which we should have embraced in the first place. And the reason why we don't embrace that change is because we are, a lot of times we are afraid that it even will succeed. Or a lot of times we just want to stay comfortable. And I would tell you, being comfortable is really is really not conducive to you achieving the levels in which you will achieve, have the potential to achieve in your life. Period. You know, one of the things that if you study people, if you study the habits of people that we deem successful, it doesn't matter if it's in business, if it's in athletics, if it's in entertainment, if it's in even those who are in the military, those who are in whatever profession that you have out there. If you study those people who are who you consider uber successful, right? I would guarantee you that you will find a correlation between all of their mindsets, and they have a mind. They are not afraid to embrace the discomfort of change. And when you see that, what ends up happening in that space, you will find those people have a lot of similar traits to where they have a structured, regimented lifestyle that forces them to consistently face their fears or face the things or embrace the change that they need to make to another level. And the opposite of that is you'll find people who perpetually find a place to be comfortable, but at the same time take on the mindset of a victim. They take a victim mindset on, and they love to put the blame to other people. But those who embrace change, you will never find them finding a reason to blame somebody else. They take full ownership of their life, and they say, you know what, I can do this, and I will do this. That's what you find. You find those people, you'll find that difference in how they think, right? And what we're talking about again in this show, I said the benefits of it, of developing that mindset. And you have to develop that mindset. That mindset is one to say, you know what? I can do better. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Man, okay, look, right? You know that your health may not be where you want it to be right now, right? And you know that there's some things that you can control with changing your health, changing the level of health that you have in your life. Some of that is the food we eat. It's not so much what we eat or how we eat. It's sometimes that's how often we eat or the choices that we make. And one of the things that I realized for myself is I like to drink sodas. We say that, you have your thing that you like. Shoot, I like to drink sodas, right? But what I found myself doing was I said, you know what can I do different? So I realized the sparkling water, right? They have some like sparkling flavored water, whatever. And I know they sell them at Walmart or whatever. And what I did was I just stopped drinking the Dr. Pepper and the Mountain Dew and the cherry Dr. Pepper, Lord Jesus. I mean, that's just me, right? And I like it, right? The root beers, all of that stuff. I like it, right? And I have them very, very few and far between. But I started drinking more juices. I started drinking those sparkling waters, which had like 0 calories or 5 calories per one. And I still got the sensation of drinking a soda, but I wasn't consuming all of those calories and all that extra sugar. And what did that do? I saw my weight drop. I started to see small differences in it. And that's just a small thing right there, right? But I could have made a choice to say, you know what, I'm missing out, right? But I just had to embrace or change my mindset on that one thing. And that's just not saying that's just one thing, but I'm talking about other things in our lives. Real changes and it is inevitable, right? Because as we grow, life consistently grows. It consistently evolves. And who you are as a person consistently. So if you're going to be a better spouse, if you're going to be a better husband, a better father, a better mother, a better whatever, right? You have to embrace the realities that change is inevitable. You cannot raise your kids with the same as if they are the same way that when they was 5 years old, the same way when they 10, 15, or 20, or as an adult. You have to embrace that you can't just get up there and be like, well, I'm just going to be who I am. No, you have to embrace that. You have to say, you know what? Things are different. And as you embrace that, you'll start to find your life, to find yourself more effective within the lives of the people that you're with. Roberta said, yes, sometimes you have to put your own self in check. Most of the time, you got to put your own self in check. You do. And not only that, just putting your own self in check, you have to say, you know what? You got to realize this, right? You have to realize I do need change. I do need to change. And this is the good stuff right here, right? If we be honest with ourselves, times in our lives, we know off the top, we know in the areas where we need to change, we know what we need to change, and we know the things we need to change. But what happens is we allow pride to come in and say, I'm not going to do it, or fear to come in and say, I'm too afraid to do it. And we choose to stay where we at. And the reason why we choose to stay where we at is because of fear and pride. But then we find ourselves frustrated. And the reason why we find ourselves frustrated is because we are frustrated with not getting the results from the change that we know that we need to do. But it only simply takes us saying, you know what? I'm going to do these things. I'm going to take that first step. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change my mindset with that because I am tired of dealing with the disappointment of me succumbing to my fear and the pride and make the change. You have to get to the age to say, well, I'm tired of this, man. Okay, look, got it. All right. We can talk about, and many of us, we know what we need to change for years. Many of us know we aren't good. Many of us know we aren't good parents. And and this is what we do, right? Many of us, thank you, God. Many of us know we aren't good parents. Many of us know we aren't good spouses. Many of us know we aren't good children. Many of us know we aren't good siblings. We know that. But what we do is we try to justify. And we justify not being a good parent by not spending time with our kids and our family by, oh, I'm just trying to make a better life for you. No, what you're doing is you're running from spending that time that you running from doing what you know you need to do for your kids, for your spouse. For you're running from that, and you're making all of these excuses to justify something that you know that you already have the power to do yourself. And shame on you. Shame on me. Shame on all of us when we do that. And watch this. It's so easy to do it. I would tell you, when you think about all the areas in our lives that that we know that we need to change in, or we know we need to change our mindset in, right? If we think about that, what we'll start to realize is what we need to change, that thing that we need to change, is a very small thing. It's not a lot of times, most of the time, it's not a big thing we need to change. It's just small behavior things, or just stop doing this, stop doing that one thing, or do it at a different, or say, hey, I'm sorry. Take ownership of it. And when we start doing those things, what we'll start to realize is be like, dang, I done wasted years, and I could have changed that a long time ago, right? I could have changed that a long time ago. And this is another thing. This right here is another thing. There will be many times in your life that you will find yourself in situations to where somebody else is causing you much discomfort because they are pulling something out of you that they see in you, that you have conditioned yourself to be in a place where you are comfortable operating where you at, but they are committed to pulling the best out of you. And the thing is, you'll find yourself frustrated. You'll find yourself, when your anxiety up, and you'll find yourself quickly trying to play that victim card to say, woe is me, and they doing this to me, and why they doing that to me, and they always saying this to me, and they demanding this from me, and they doing all these things from me. But what they doing is saying, I know you can do better, and I refuse you to stay comfortable. So I will continue to demand more out of you. And I will tell you, those people that you find, you may not like them now, but I will tell you, you would really, really appreciate them for what they're doing for you in this moment. You will appreciate them for the discomfort that they're making you feel in this moment. And I would say, I want to give a shout out to Colonel retired Karen Rowe, who was my professor of military science at Augusta State University, right? Colonel Rowe, she has been, I would say, the most impactful leader that I've had in my 22-year career. And the reason why is she believed in me. She didn't give up on me, but she pushed me hard, and she pushed me hard. And she said, and I, at the time, she wasn't a big fan of mine, especially initially, because I felt like, and this was just me having the wrong mindset. I felt like she was just doing too much on me. But what she was really doing is she was just holding me accountable for me not doing what I was supposed to do. And not only did she not hold me accountable, she said, not only am I going to hold you accountable, I'm going to hold you to a high standard because I know you got it in you to do what you need to do. Right. So and as I think back on it, right, when I look back over my career, especially this I call the second half of my career as an officer, I can attribute a lot of my success to the things that she did to prepare me in that time where I was mad at her, angry at her, because guess what? What she was doing was she was forcing me to come out of a comfort zone where I had become accustomed to because things had become easy for me. And I could have stayed at that place and only reached a certain level. But because she forced me out of my comfort, what that did was that allowed me to grow. And I can say another one. I can go down the list of people in my military career that as I look back on it, I was frustrated in the moment. But as I would say, hindsight is 20/20. As I look back, I'm very, very appreciative. I'm very appreciative for the things in which they did to me to push me beyond my comfort zone. And by those experiences, what that has done is they say, okay, not only those experiences, but and I like this. Thank you, God, thank you, right? Because so many times we can become preachy, right? Especially as believers, especially as ministers, people with titles, we can become preachy and we can preach the word and we can do all these things, right? But the actual application of it, or the manifestation of what that word is in our lives, is not a comfortable thing to endure. It's not. It is not. And what I'm thankful for is that in those moments, right? In those moments, it forced me to face me. Man, I thank God for that. I'm gonna have to repeat that, right? Thank you, God. Thank you. So many moments in our lives, we're going to find ourselves where we are going to be forced to face ourselves. And when we're forced to face ourselves, the reality going to come in is to where we're going to be forced to make a decision. And when we're forced to face ourselves and forced to make that decision is going to be, am I going to continue to accept the lie that I'm lying to myself about who I actually see in the mirror? Or am I going to embrace the reality of who I am in the mirror and move forward to deal with the reality of who I am? Am I going to change my mindset and embrace those things, the discomfort of those things that I know I need to change to become better? Or I'm going to sit here and play the victim and say, woe is me, and stay in that same condition for the rest of my life? I chose to say, you know what? I'm going to change my mindset. I'm going to work to change me for the better. That is the decision that I made. And I made that decision for myself. And the reason why I made that decision for myself is because I started to look back. And that's why I'm so, when I talk about the word of God, and so many times I don't think that people teach or talk about it from this perspective. when the Bible say in the book of James, it said, count it all joy, or even in Romans, it said, count it all joy when you face various trials and tribulations, right? Because because they said those and it said, let patience have this perfect work, that you may be complete and lacking nothing, right? And in Romans it said, your builds character. Character trans to hope, and hope does not disappoint. Now, why am I talking about all of those things? Because it talks about the mindset. The mindset. When you change your mindset, and that's why I go back to Romans, and Romans said, I beseech you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies to Christ as a living sacrifice, and be transformed by the renewing of your mind. We have to continue to renew our minds and not get comfortable, because just because you reach one doesn't mean that that's the, too many times we are comfortable with a plateau in our lives instead of the projection of going up to the mountaintop. Because what people don't realize is at a plateau, you're just flatlining. And I would tell you, even when a workout, if you're talking about workout, there's certain things you can do a workout to where your body will reach a plateau and you have to shift. You got to make changes in your regimen to continue to see results. And so many times we desire results, but we want to continue to do the same thing. And that's, we got to change our mindset, because the reason why we desire results but want to continue to do the same thing is because we become comfortable, and we'll sit there and want to be comfortable. That's a natural thing, like I said before. But that comfort is not going to yield a result in which you desire. That comfort is not going to yield a result in which you desire. So what we got to do is we have to condition ourselves. We got to condition ourselves to embrace, change that mindset, to embrace the discomfort of change. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's what I really like about those people who you see who have the mindset that continue to grow, right? They don't rest on their laurels. They don't rest on their laurels. They're making achievement, and they're always looking at ways of where they can get better. They seek out criticism, or they seek out constructive criticism. They seek out people to tell them ways of which they can get better. Hey, they seek out the people that beat them to say, hey, how did you beat me? How did you best me? Hey, how did you do that? They seek those things, and they're honest with them. They commit their mindset to do the work, regardless of what the discomfort that they may have, to manifest a change in which they see. But I would tell you, when you start to get this mindset set that say, hey, you know what? I'm going to embrace that discomfort. There's nothing that you can't achieve. There's nothing that you can't. That's sad. And the reason why that's sad is because they settle and they take on the identity of a victim just so it can feed their own ego, to convince them, continue to lie to them, to convince them that it's somebody else's fault while they ain't doing what they need to do. And that's really sad, because that really falls on them. And that's something that they got to deal with. That's something that they have to embrace. And this is how you know those people. You will find those people always blaming somebody else for something that could have been changed just off them changing their mindset. So again, man, I just want to thank everybody so much for just tuning in with your boy. It was such a good conversation tonight. But just remember, there are benefits to developing a mindset of embracing the discomfort of change, because change is inevitable. So we might as well have the mindset to say, you know what, I'm going to embrace what this change comes with. And when we get that mindset to embrace what that change brings forth, what we will start to do is we will start ourselves better able to deal with the changes in which come in our lives. So many, oh my God. So there's some people who right now who's dealing with the grief, all because you don't want to embrace change. And that's why you've been struggling with grief for years, because you don't want to embrace the change. That change doesn't mean that it erased what happens or who was. That change is just conditioning you to continue to live the life in which you have the blessing of the life in which you have to live out. So don't be stuck in time, all because you refuse to embrace change. Embrace that change. Let's examine our lives and look at those areas in our lives in which we need change, and start asking ourselves, dang, what do I need to do? What is hindering me from making that change? What is stopping me from making that change? What is it? Is it me? Is it my mindset? Is it what is it? Am I fearful of it? What is it about that is making me change? Some people settle. You've been settling for years, and you've been stuck at the same place. You've been stuck at a place. You've been stuck at a place of mediocrity, all because you have refused to change, because you was afraid of change. So you chose to stay home in a place and try to position yourself to be a big fish in a little pond, when all the while you know you was created to swim in the ocean. But then you would stay there and you would take the crumbs of mediocrity, all because you were too fearful to take the leap of faith and embrace and change your mindset to embrace the change that you know that to be greater than what you is. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you have to always leave home. Speaking of those who stayed home because they were too fearful to embrace the change of the unknown. And you stay right where you at, and you try to act like these things, or you try to champion the small wins that you have, but at night, deep down inside, you're really disappointed with yourself because you know you settled. And what's sad is you'll live your whole life and look back on your life on your deathbed and have a life of regret because you chose to settle, because you was too afraid to challenge yourself and change your mindset and change your mentality. You know, and it's a lot of people that are like that. There's a lot of people that are like that. And, you know, really it's about, you know, the benefits of embracing that is you won't be fearful of failure. You won't be fearful of failure. You'll learn so much more. You'll just say, you know what? Hey, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this. Yeah, I'm gonna try this. And this is also too, right? Your mindset will begin to change. And I remember the first time when I read James, when the Bible said, count it all joy when you face various trials and tribulations. But you know, that's a little, you know, that I'm like, wait a minute. What in the world you mean about being happy, being joyful about facing hard times? What do you mean by that? Like, what in the world do you mean by being happy about facing hard times, being happy about going through hardships? Count it all joy when you face it. And it talks about having a mindset to embrace it, because I understand now that hard time is a valuable lesson in there. And that hard time, as I think back on it, okay, God, what are you doing for me? What is it that you're showing me? Yeah, I don't like it right now. I don't like this thing. I don't like that my boss is demanding all of these things from me. I don't like that. I don't like that my coach is being hard on me and doing all these things. I don't like that. I don't like that. Right? But I would tell you that's God using other people to bring out in you what he put in you. I was watching the NBA channel, and they was talking about the draft class of '96. And in that episode, if you get a chance to talk, Allen Iverson was talking about his relationship with Larry Brown. And he talked about, like, you know, as he looked back on it, he was like, he wished he would have embraced Larry Brown, because he said at the time he didn't understand him. He thought Larry Brown was being super hard on him, but he said when he bought in, that's when he became MVP in 2001. That's when he became the better version of the AI that we know. And why am I saying that? At the moment, he didn't like him because he was making him, it was a discomfort for him. But Larry Brown was bringing out what he needed, what he had the vision to bring out what he needed to bring out in AI. And so many times there are people in our lives that got the vision to bring out, and they see the potential in us. And they're going to put us in situations to where they're going to demand more out of us than we're comfortable with giving. And what we will find ourselves doing is we'll scratch and claw in those places of discomfort. We'll scratch and claw all we want to, but then when we turn around and we achieve those things, and that new level of productivity becomes our standard, we'll look back and be like, you know what? Thank you. I'm thankful for that. I'm so thankful for that. Because guess what? They was bringing the best out of me, and I needed it. And another leader that I've had, Latanya Jordan, Colonel Latanya Jordan. She was my battalion commander when I was her operations officer in Korea. And during that time, man, she used to make corrections with a purple pen, with a purple pen. Boy, I'll tell you, she would correct regulations. Like it wasn't nothing going in there that she wasn't gonna correct. But I would wonder why. Like, dang, man, Colonel Jordan is she ruthless, right? But she told a story one time about what she had to go through, and she went to. It's funny. I'm rocking. She went to North Carolina A&T. Shout out to North Carolina A&T. And she was going through the ROTC program. And at the time, the Army required all officers who went through HBCUs to take a remedial writing course, or remedial writing course or English course. And she was in honors English, and she was going to school to be a speech pathologist. And she fought against that to say, about that requirement. And she ended up winning from Cadet Command, because basically she was like, why do I have to take a remedial course because I go to a HBCU when I'm in an advanced English class? Well, with that being said, she had an eye for writing, right? And it was painful trying to get correspondence through, and she was making sure that it was good. And at first I was frustrated because it was like, man, here we go. I got all this other stuff to do. But the more and more I embraced it, the more and more I used to keep those, and I started to see. And I remember she was real big on the Oxford comma, and I could have had a bitter mindset, but I began to embrace it, right? And what ended up happening was, by being under her, it made me a better writer. And I could remember feeling a sense of pride that when I went to my next assignment, many of the things that I wrote, many of the correspondence that I wrote was even forwarded up to even the general officer level. And I would draft emails for other people that would send up to hire, and no corrections was being made. And I was like, thank you, Colonel Jordan. And I would send her some emails and reach out to her. And I said, ma'am, thank you for that purple pen. Now, that was just a small example of one thing about a discomfort that I had to embrace, but I had to shift my mindset. Because if I kept my mindset where I was, I still would have been not a good, I wouldn't have grown in that area, because I was fighting against it. And I would tell you what that did for me, right? That just made me better, right? And if we want to get better in our lives, in areas in our lives, we have to embrace the discomfort of change. We do. And nothing more, we just have to embrace it. And if we embrace the discomfort of change, we will find that the benefits of embracing that temporary discomfort will greatly outweigh that small thing of discomfort in which we see. It's anything. Many things have to be broken down to be built up. If you work out and you haven't worked out in a while, or if you get a good workout, you break your muscles down and you will be sore walking up and down those steps, but you're getting stronger. The benefit of it is you're getting stronger than you were before. So we have to learn to embrace the discomfort and change our mindset to embrace that, to accept. Hey, you guys have a great and wonderful evening. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Looking forward to see you next week. God bless.